Hey guys, welcome back to Clockwork and Noodles. We are on our penultimate episode of the Restaurant to Another World Season 2. This is episode 11. Make sure you guys are subscribed. I am working on my overall fall 2021 wrap-up. The big wrap-up of the season. What are my top 3 anime this period? What is going to be crowned king? And what is my hidden gem of the season? Something I think that may have been missed by everybody. There is also a Discord channel too that will allow you to get notified whenever videos go up on the channel. And if you see that video go up, I will also be covering what is coming your way next season for the winter period. And I think it's going to be a season of 2 halves. We've got the big returning sequels, and then we've also got the smaller original titles that are coming our way that also could be really, really good. I've already picked out what I'm going to be breaking down. Can't wait to tell you guys what is coming your way. This is probably the first time in 2 seasons where we've had an episode that is just an episode. There's no halfway point, there's no swapping over. This is an entire episode about one thing that travels all the way through. Sure, we go back to Nicoya and I think we shift a little bit. So we start with Adelaide and her father, and then it slowly goes across to Carbonara and Sheriff. Opening in the Empire, I think it's Adelaide's country is the Empire. On a bit of a weird coffee tasting session, the Land of the Sand has presented a gift to the Empire. I would state the there's no poison here thing after taking one tiny sip is a bit hasty. I'm pretty sure you generally have to wait 30 minutes so your body actually processes anything to actually go, okay, that wasn't poisoned or anything. Most poisonings take place within like an hour if it's food poisoning and things. We finally get to see the other side. We've had the Koya, we've seen Land of Sand and Adelaide already talking to one another. But let's actually go to the countries that are involved. We have Adelaide's father, and it's just weird to even think that his daughter has already brokered a connection with the Land of Sand's monarch. Even before they've even formally done it, they've sent gifts and they even go to talk to one another. He already had the intention of marrying her way before they'd met each other. We've seen him longing to try and talk to her but never really getting words out. That is the power of Nicoya. It is a political person's or a monarch's playground where they can have some downtime away from everybody else and get to eat some food, and it's fantastic. We've already seen these monarchs already know each other, they already chat to one another. Most of the audience are probably aware of the crush that Sheriff has on Adelaide. I think we are definitely in the vast majority of the people at the end who react, and they're already aware that's going to happen. There does seem to be the tiny handful who weren't quite aware that it was going to end like this. Something I saw coming. I think I was shocked about. It was a long time coming. I'm so happy they do get to do it because I was wondering if we would get to see a political marriage, but it would be a political marriage with a twist because they actually like each other. Of course, wishes do definitely come true. The 2 nations are now actually becoming friends, officially going through with it. It's all down to Nicoya behind the scenes giving them a nudge in the right direction. I like it because it's a little story of never really underestimating the small things in life, what a knock-on effect they can really have. And with politics being very complicated, there are suspicious prying eyes behind the scenes as the 2 nations become friends. A third player, but I think it's another kingdom we're not quite aware of, neighbours with the Empire and the Land of Sand as well. And this is Carbonara. And Carbonara we have already seen. He's had episodes in season 1. He's a regular of Nicoya. And this is when we do our switchover. We've come from this country, we're now going into Nicoya itself to meet up with our friendly faces of Aletta, who is actually becoming a little bit more aware. She can start to predict when the customers are going to order some food, but we have come in during a very, very busy period. It's a nice way of also seeing how Aletta and Kuro now bounce off one another. Season 1, they met for the first time. Season 2, they've been building on that friendship. They are working together quite nicely, able to divvy up the work, try and help balance out the busy period that is the Saturdays. They only really get work 1 day a week. I do think the master may need to adjust this because they're backed up pretty heavily, and it does seem that our roster of characters is really growing. We get to have a nice flash through all the characters there at this period of time. People we've seen from season 1, season 2. The roster is huge. This place needs to be bigger. I've said that this guy needs an extension, whether he gets a cellar or he gets a second floor and he could put more people in there. Seeing Carbonara seated next to the Demon Lord, Nicoya does not give special treatment to anybody regardless of their status, which is quite nice because it's all about equality in Nicoya. It's all about food. It doesn't matter who you are all eating off the same menu and you all get to appreciate the good food that is in front of you. When Carbonara ordered the same dish as usual, it did hint that the episode today wasn't really a food-orientated episode. Sure, there's a little bit of food here, we do get to see the quiche a bit later on, but it's actually an episode all about relations. And the reason why I think this is a whole episode and it's not broken in half is because it's all about the multiple storylines starting to tie up together, and we are theoretically in the home run now for the end of the season. With the restaurant being backed up and very, very busy, everybody at that table is forced to at least participate in some small talk. They have to talk to one another. The complimentary quiche showing you really how backed up it is if you're having to give them a starter to try and get yourself some time. But it does allow us to see Kuro and Aletta working well under pressure, working well when it's very, very busy, because you can see how much they trust each other. They know where the strengths and weaknesses lie with one another. The quiche is really the only dish we theoretically see that is new this week, and it's a dish that can be made anywhere you want. It's a bit similar to pizza, where you can actually have the toppings whatever you want. I don't mind quiche. Oddly enough, actually, we had quiche today. Today's meal was quiche because it was light. Quiche was on the table, and the quiche I had was a bacon one. Today's episode really is just focused on the people who are there, all engaging in small talk over the dish of some good food. And then finally, the awaited royals that the Carbonara has been waiting for have finally arrived from the land of sand themselves. And of course, Sheriff is even more desperate than last time to see his beloved. They only get to glimpse one another very briefly once a week at this point. However, things are about to change, because Sheriff is in love. He is madly in love, and his country has just entered a friendship with the country of the woman who he loves. This is, of course, building for a very, very happy ending this time round as well. The master really does need a second pair of hands, making everything one by one, and he really does need, just even if it's apprentices or someone who can help him on this one day. He has one day open every single week. He either needs to have a few people in the kitchen that one day and have a bigger space, or he maybe even needs to open up on a different day, perhaps do Saturday, Sunday, only open on the weekends. The food also arriving at the same time, I am not quite convinced this is how it would be, because there are actual desserts here. There's an ice cream, and then there's the sundae that is there as well, and a cheesecake. Those are dessert dishes. Those dishes I feel like he would have prepared, or some, especially with the ice cream that's already in the freezer. That's just a case of just making it. The cold stuff would go out first because it would melt. I know in Japan, food is served as it is ready because it's intended that you eat it at its freshest points. You have to get used to dishes just arriving whenever they're ready. More over in the West, if you're in a family group, they will get the dishes all out at the same time. That's the only time I know it would happen. But the people at this table aren't a family. Two of them are together. The other two aren't. You would definitely get those dishes all arriving at different times. Plus, there's the fact that Carbonara arrived last. His order would have been put in very much last, and it is pasta. It's not a simple, I want some ice cream. That is probably very fast to make. It's an actual pasta dish. The fun conversation about what would happen if each of these countries start to export their delicacies to others, knowing how much the culinary arts would actually improve. It would start to expand and amazing things would come out of the culinary arts. This is the kind of conversation that Carbonara may eventually realise that actually got the Land of Sand and the Empire to become friends in the first place, harking back to how important small talk and good food really is. Countries start to import from other countries, get ingredients that weren't necessarily available to them. Your culinary diets, your food, the available foods that you can make start to expand. Now Prince Sheriff starting to calm himself down, getting a bit more worried because he's got something up his sleeve. Today is the day. I didn't expect it to be today, but the lady of the hour finally arrives. Love is definitely in the air, because marriage is also in the air. I wasn't expecting him to do the proposal right there and then. As soon as she arrives, just kind of bombard the lady. The political marriage, which is actually going to be made and founded on love, is finally admitted in front of every single customer. The country has become friends. Nicoya's first ever engagement, bringing absolutely everybody together, having a party at this point. I do think they could have theoretically ended the entire season with this, but that does make me wonder if next week's last episode might be more focused on Aletta and Kuro, the master himself. I think next week will just be focused on those three. Carbonara finally is at peace because he can see that they're actually in love, and that's actually what was going on. It wasn't anything suspicious in the first place. To most, everybody was expecting it to happen. I just didn't know when it was going to happen. I am in that boat. It was going to happen at some point. I think I must have even mentioned initially when we had an episode with the two and he was trying to talk to her. I did state that if there was a political marriage, these countries could unite and they would be united by the love of food because Nicoya has allowed it to happen. It's become a venue for it to occur. It's a fantastic episode. I would have happily had it end on this episode. It would have been a fantastic end, but I do think next week's episode will focus on Aletta, Kuro and the Master, the three people who make Nicoya. I really hope it's a nice homely one just to see the second season out. I didn't even think I was ever going to get a second season. Honoured to have whatever they throw at me. If we get a third season as well, I will be even more happy to have that because it is based on a light novel, so there's probably a few more pages or at least another few volumes that they could probably turn into a third season. I hope you guys are eating some good food, looking after yourselves. I will see you one last time next week for the Restaurant to Another World. There is a few interesting titles coming up next season that some of you guys might have an interest in, watching things with slice of lives. I've got something up my sleeve that you may enjoy. I will see you guys again soon. Bye bye.